We're right back here. It's Packers week yet again with even more stakes than in the last game, as the Chicago Bears could potentially clinch their playoff spot with a victory over the Packers this week. They'll need some help in some other places. We're going to talk a little bit about the injury updates around this team, the revenge games, Caleb Williams' focus, and how he just put the onus and the target on himself big time. We're talking about all that, plus Matt LaFleur talks about the Chicago Bears' secret advantage, all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. Y'all want to start off with the injury report that came out yesterday. Keep in mind, it was more of a walkthrough yesterday because of the short week for the Chicago Bears. That's why you have the injury report being listed or being available one day early. But for what it's worth, Andrew Billings, Luther Burden, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Amin were not available in practice. They did not participate in practice at all. And considering it was basically just a walkthrough, it kind of maybe points to that, right? So, with Andrew Billings, he's listed as an illness. Hopefully that's cleared up by Saturday's game. Luther Burden and Rome Odunze, we already talked about yesterday how their injuries are and how with Rome, in Rome's case, the Bears may look to hold him out into the playoffs to protect him from himself, as Ben Johnson has said. And Luther Burden is day-to-day with an ankle injury. We all knew that, right? Now, as far as limited participants, Tremaine Edmonds and Travis Homer and Cole Kmet were all limited participants in practice. No surprise there with Tremaine Edmonds. His window just opened up, that 21-day window to return to the football field during the game. And we already did hear that there is, that he's aiming to try to get on the football field Saturday. He could be on the field as early as Saturday. I think the short week makes that in question. If not, it seems like it's pretty good, safe bet that he's maybe going to be out there next Sunday at the minimum for the Bears' last two regular season games. But maybe he can make this Green Bay Packers game. We'll see. The Packers have a number of injuries themselves, so it could be that maybe the Bears feel pretty confident at sitting Tremaine Edmonds, but I would love to see Tremaine Edmonds out there. What he's done in coverage this season, he was on pace to have his best season. I would love to see that. Cole Kmet with ankle and knee is listed as a limited participant. Now, I've always said that with veterans, the first day of practice being, limited or DNPs, kind of take that with a little bit of grain of salt. Sometimes veterans just get vet days. And with the other injuries, if anything's going on, any type of soreness, maybe they just gave him, an extra day off. Doesn't seem like there's anything major there per the reporting, but it's something to look out for as we get the next couple of days of injury reports before we eventually take the field on Saturday, right? So there's that one. Andrew Billings is just dealing with a sickness. He was probably going to be available too if I did not say that. And then, of course, a full participant was Tyson Bagent. After missing last week's game with his own thing going on, he got sent home. He had some private stuff going on, but seems like there's no worries there. So there's no surprises on the injury report here for the Chicago Bears. No Jalen Johnson being listed, which is really good. No TJ Edwards being listed, which is really good. We know Kyler Gordon's out for the season. So, that's about as clean of an injury report as you're going to get, right? There's nothing surprising, nothing we didn't know, and that's the biggest thing there. The things to monitor are Luther Burden, because I just don't think there's any chance that Rome Odunze plays on Sunday if they've already talked about considering sitting him down. Luther Burden's the one to watch as it goes on. Maybe the illness with Andrew Billings, we have seen players miss games because of being sick. So even though it's looked at as illness and that could clear up in a couple of days, that's one to look out for as well. And of course, Tremaine Edmonds. What happens with Tremaine Edmonds between now and Thursday's injury report is going to be the thing that's important. How does he progress? Does he become a full participant today or Thursday? If that does happen, it could lead to him. The Bears, I believe, are going to have a day off on Friday, so no injury report on Friday. So, again, short week. We'll see how the Bears attack it. We'll see what the Bears do. They do take the field on Saturday against the Green Bay Packers. But flipping that and looking at the injury report for the Packers, man, Christian Watson did not participate in practice. Savion Williams did not participate in practice. Wicks did not participate in practice. Evan Williams out in practice. Lucas Van Ness did not participate in practice. Zach Thorne out. Michael Parsons, we already know he's going to be out as well. So, they have their own injuries that they're dealing with. And Matt LaFleur has had a conversation or comment in regards to that, how the Bears could have an advantage coming into that game. Hey, don't try to sugarcoat stuff. But we'll talk about LaFleur's comments here in a second. But moving on from the injury report, which is basically, like I said, how we expected it to go. Caleb Williams has had a lot of comments here in the last 24 hours in regards to his own performance in the Green Bay Packers matchup. And to me, I'm taking this that, listen, Caleb Williams understands he needs to do better against the Green Bay Packers, and it seems like he's locked in. When asked about bringing the Packers to Soldier Field, he said this: "Yeah, I'm excited." Ended up obviously throwing the pick, as everyone knows, in those last moments, and kind of let that off the hook, throwing such a bad ball to Cole Kmet. I'm definitely excited. I'm excited for the moment. They're coming here, and it's another game for us, but I'm excited. He also said this, right, in regards to putting pressure on himself. He said that I feel like if I played like how I played last game or play better, we have a real shot to do whatever we want in this league. So Caleb understands that now in this playoff, this dash is no longer a playoff push. It's a dash to the playoffs, right? That he understands that for the Bears to get there, he needs to be better, right? And that's one of the reasons why when you look at how the Bears were able to win against the Cleveland Browns, part of that was he completed over 60% of his passes, right? Part of that was how much he came in and the Bears offense moved the ball from the start, right? When we were able to be consistent from the start. It seemed, and the Bears have talked about that. They've talked about how they need to start faster. I think that Packers game woke them up a lot to how important the fast starts are. And, the thing that I say, it's not all on Caleb, but Caleb is going to be judged by it all because he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and that's just what comes with the job. He is going to be judged by ultimately the success of this offense as a whole and ultimately by the win and loss record. That just is what it is. That's what it comes down to, right? So if Caleb can come out and be more like he was in the second half against the Packers and how he was for basically the entire 4 quarters against the Cleveland Browns, that is what's going to give the Bears a chance to beat this Packers team. We'll talk about their injuries. Yes, they have those stacking up for them as well, but regardless of that, you want to put it in your control. You want to put it in your hands, and the thing that you can do to put it in your hands is, guess what? It's going to be to come in here and play a full 4 quarters of football. Yeah, then Ben Johnson has a place in that. You can't forget how potent your running game is. We need to set the tone early. Right? Now that Michael Parsons is not going to be on that, you need to set the tone early. And Caleb understands that he's the leader of this offense, and he's going to have to get that done, right? So that's what's going to have to happen. When you look at it, Green Bay has won, 12 of the last 13 matchups against the Chicago Bears. So we got to get that shit together. There's no doubt about it, right? The Packers knocked us out of first seed of the NFC and the NFC North. Now we're back at number 1 in the NFC North, but if we're going to want to hold on to that, there's no way around that without beating the Green Bay Packers. That's what the Bears need to do. And so with the Bears already starting off, 0-2 against the division, now they lost their 3rd game. The best they can finish is 3-3 in the division. They have to tighten up. They have to get it together. This is a major matchup. And how Caleb Williams performs over that is going to be, hugely important for it. It's not all on him. Like I said, the offensive line, the running game, limit drops, right? Especially if we're missing Rome and Luther Burden. But Caleb has to come in here and he has to throw, good passes. He has to be locked in. He has to have that completion percentage on point. He was rocking with some confidence to get against the Browns. And that was a team that, while the record isn't great, they've been a pretty solid pass defense. Caleb is going to have to lock in here. And how he locks in and prepares for that is going to be a big telling part about what we can do as a team. So it's clear that Caleb Williams and the Bears ceiling are tied intrinsically, right? Like, if you don't have Caleb Williams reaching his potential, then the Bears ceiling is going to be ultimately capped by that. Now, we've seen teams be able to win without a great quarterback. Like, the Bears, we've won a Super Bowl without a great quarterback, right? So you can still get that done. And Caleb is better than that. I'm not saying that, Caleb is good. And the question becomes about how good is Caleb and can he be great, right? That's really, and I'm not saying that all needs to be answered this year in this playoff run or anything like that, but that's ultimately the question. Is Caleb is good. How much better can he be? And then can he be great? Right? That's the questions that are all here. And as Caleb goes to answer those questions, we'll see, right? The Chicago Bears are averaging 217 passing yards per game. That's 17th in the league. Not terrible, but not great, right? Again, good, but not great. That's where the Bears' passing offense has been. That's why you see the limitations and the fact that our receivers aren't probably going to pass 1,000 yards and stuff like that. It comes down to we're just not having success. We got the weapons. We got talent. And not to say that it's all on just Caleb's misses. It's not all on that. But like I tend to do, and I like to have a clear mind in it because I think that it's fair, it still comes down to, guess what? What does it come down to, right? You are going to be judged by wins and losses. And, the Bears are winning. And they've locked in a double-digit winning season. That's great. They're going to be above 500. That's great. That's all great for this team. Make no mistake about it. It is amazing what this team has been able to do as a team. But now, this next stretch, this next run, this next leg of the season for the Chicago Bears, these last 3 games, how good can Caleb Williams be? You are facing off against 3 teams that are all aiming, gearing, and focused on making the playoffs. How good can you be? How many of these quarterbacks can you have better games than? How many of these defenses can you have successful games in? How many of these games can you limit, not throwing interceptions in key moments, making the right passes at the right time, making the right adjustments at the line, feeling comfortable? Because this is where it starts getting real uncomfortable. This is where the growth starts. And it's called growing pains for a reason. And there's going to be a lot of growing pains and a lot of getting beat up for Caleb Williams if these teams can have their way. So, while I think some of the criticisms and things that get thrown at Caleb have nothing to do with football. Those have to do with men like ECH Bears fans that are insecure about their life and dealing with having a quarterback that paints his fingernails. I don't give a shit about none of that. I care about what happens on the football field. And so Caleb has to make those next steps in these next 3 games. And then if we are blessed enough to have a postseason experience, are going to tell us a lot about who this quarterback is as a winner, right? You've gotten over this hump to a degree. Now, the next test for you is, how do you perform this? This is playoff atmosphere football. These next 3 games are going to be playoff atmosphere football. What can you do in them? And that's what I can't wait to see from Caleb Williams, because hopefully he surprises us and we see a quarterback that's locked in, geared up, and ready to go. And we'll see, right? Now, let's move on from Colts to Caleb, from Colts to one of the veteran leaders on this team are supposed to be, and that is Grady Jarrett. Now, Grady Jarrett has not had the best season, right? He's not been kind of what we expect him to be. I don't think Grady Jarrett has been terrible either. The fact of the matter is, though, for all he was heralded to be as a signing, he hasn't really done anything that's really, I don't expect it to be earth-shattering, not at his age or anything like that, but it's been pedestrian at best. He's been a serviceable starting defensive tackle, and this defensive line has overall disappointed as a unit. And while it's starting to get better, I mean, if you look over the last couple of weeks, of course, a 15 QB hit game is going to increase it. And, the amount of times we were able to sack, Shedeur Sanders last week, it's going to change a lot of that. But, for what it's worth, you're looking at how this unit is going to step up, right? And that's an important thing. Grady Jarrett, who's missed, I believe, 3 games this season, if I'm not mistaken, already. But he said this in regards to the Bears and getting some revenge on the Packers. He said, I wouldn't say cause for concern. I think as far as the respect he deserves as a competitor, he's getting the ball where it needs to go. This is for Jordan Love. Playing with extreme confidence, and you can tell just all the years accumulated in that offense and in the league is really coming to life for him. So definitely a lot of respect for his game, knowing he can get the ball wherever it needs to go, but cause for concern wouldn't be a term I'll use. I'll say a respect to our opponent, and that's well-deserved, the work he put in, right? He goes on to say this. I think we just have to cut out the big plays. Just knowing that every play counts. And it comes down to a couple of plays in a game. You are playing with top 2 teams. We can't make as many mistakes. And that's key, right? The Bears did make mistakes against the Packers on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I will say this, and I did give them credit. Outside of the mistakes that they made, they did their job as far as keeping the Packers out of the end zone for the first 3 drives. They did that. They got them off the field. The Bears offense couldn't take advantage of that. And if the Bears get 1 touchdown out of those 3 that he stopped, it's a much different game that we're talking about down the stretch of that game, right? But the Bears do have to limit those big plays. They have to limit those times, and especially when you look at all the injuries, which we'll talk about here in a second, for the Green Bay Packers, this is a game where the Bears defensive line has to continually put pressure out. Grady Jarrett said this simply: show up and show out. Show up and show out. This needs to be the loudest game we've had all season. They need to rock that stadium. Soldier Field needs to be shaking. Give Soldier Field something to shake about. Give Soldier Field something that they are going to get so excited about in that stadium, in that arena, that they are going to make sure that the vibrations are felt throughout all of Chicago. That is the job, right? And this team this defensive line has to come together. Austin Booker had a good game. Montez Sweat has been playing a lot better in the second half of this year. If we can get that impression from the interior, that's what's going to help this team. Hopefully we get Tremaine Edmonds back as well. Getting Jalen Johnson back is also in coverage, and Tremaine in coverage is definitely going to help some things when we have both those guys on the field. But this is a game that we need to try to make a statement, but do it through playing football the right way. Don't come in feeling like you got to do something the most. Like, come in here, take what the defense gives you, and put pressure on that quarterback. That is going to be the most important thing in this game, is how we consistently get pressure on Jordan Love. And it's good to hear that Grady Jarrett, as one of the veteran voices on this team, has the right mindset about it. He's seen big matchups before. He's seen it all in the league. This may be his first year in this type of rivalry. This is the deepest rivalry in football, because while the Packers have owned it against the Chicago Bears, make no mistake about it, they have owned this rivalry. This is still something, especially in being in Chicago, those fans in that arena are going to feel it. Give them something to feel, right? So while this has huge playoff implications, it has huge NFC North implications, this game matters so much to everything that the Bears are trying to accomplish over the remaining games of this season. And I won't say it starts now. It started 2 games ago against the Green Bay Packers, and we failed that test, right? So now we nailed the practice exam. That was the Cleveland Browns. Now we got another test coming in here with 3 midterms coming in a row. Let's go out here and knock this shit out. That's what this is about for this team. That's what this is about for this franchise. Everything needs to be left out there on the field against these cheeseheads, and we need to take it to them. We need to act like we belong, and that's what the Chicago Bears have to prove. So while we talk about Caleb and all the things that he has to prove and improve on and lead as a team, this defense has its own test. This defense has its own things that it needs to do as well against this Packers team if we're going to want to get a victory, if we're going to want to try to solidify our playoff spot, if we're going to want to do these things. It just so happens that it all comes at the same time we facing off against the fucking cheeseheads. Let's go out there and get it done. I'm tired of being the little brother in the NFC North. I'm tired of being the team that everybody's like, oh, cute, good job, Bears, and pats us on the head. Fuck that. Go out here and make a statement. Go out here and make an impression. Go out here and send messages throughout the NFC that the Bears are not going to be taken lightly in this playoff run. And it starts now. Let's get it done. Every matchup that we have left is all NFC opponents. The Lions, the Packers, and the San Francisco 49ers. How much of it can we take advantage of? Let's see what we can do. And hopefully, just hopefully, the Chicago Bears take care of fucking business against these Green Bay Packers. But while I'm getting pissed, as you can tell, I hate the Packers. It's legitimately ingrained in my DNA. I almost don't eat cheese because it may have come from Wisconsin. That just is what it is, right? So with that said, right, Matt LaFleur talked about the Packers and the advantage that the Bears may have coming into this game. Of course, the Michael Parsons injury, which Matt LaFleur said the injury list is substantial. And when you look at it, it is, right? Of course, let's start with Christian Watson, right? Who he's gone down with a chest injury. He did that against the game against Denver. And we'll see, right? He left the stadium in an ambulance, right? So while he did avoid serious injury, it doesn't seem like he's going to play on Sunday. Now, again, I don't want to say that it's a long shot and then he ends up getting on the field and I set people up for failure thinking that he's not going to be out there. But as of right now, it doesn't look good. We'll see how it progresses over the course of the season, right? Then their starting right tackle went down with a knee injury, right? That's the starting right tackle, an important role in this one. Doesn't look like he's going to be there as well, and we'll see, right? And then their safety, Evan Williams, also suffered an injury. So when you look at it, the Bears' defensive line has the starting right tackle out. One of the wide receivers are out as well. You got to come in here and clear it out. That's what you have to do. You have to come into this game and perform, because I'm not saying that it's going to be easy even with those injuries. But if you can get consistent pressure on Jordan Love, it changes things for that Packers team. That's something that you can see. If you can beat them up, whether we get sacks or not, rough them up, get QB hits, get pressures. Those are the type of things. You get that consistently, sacks are going to come. If the Bears can do that against the Green Bay Packers on Saturday, that is the thing that is going to make a determination and a change in how the tone of this game could go. The Bears have to, for once, be the ones that set the tone. Can we do it? We have a capability of doing. Will we do it? That is the question that it comes down to for this team, is will they? Will they take advantage and set the tone against the Green Bay Packers early? If they can do that, a lot of things start changing for this Bears team. A lot of things could change for this Bears team coming into this game, but you have to set the tone early. And that's not just on the defensive line either to do that. I'm looking at the secondary. I'm looking at the pressures that you guys get as well. I'm looking at how you do in coverage. Listen, Kyler Gordon ain't walking through that door. He's not getting back healthy. He's not coming back to this. So it's not happening, right? And so, therefore, one of the things that hurt, for example, it hurt CJ Garner-Johnson is that trying to guard the wide receivers, the young wide receivers that had some speed. One of those guys in Watson looks like he's not going to be out there. So now what do you do, and now how much better can you perform? It all comes down to how we work as a unit, how we are doing it all together, how everything is fitting together. This Bears team needs to make a statement. I'm going to say that for the last time in this episode. Go out there, make a statement on Sunday. Let's get this dub, and let's get one step closer to making the playoffs. Let's do that. And if we do that, Bears take care of business. Hey, we could be talking about C-Dub getting to call his first playoff game, and y'all know C-Dub about to be live. And that's all I got to say about that. Bears fans, that's going to do it for today's episode of Chicago Bears Central. This season has officially entered its defining stretch. This next stretch is defining. Packers week, playoff stakes, and a change to completely continue to change the narrative of what it is for the Chicago Bears. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Also, leave a review if you can. If you're listening on the podcast side, you guys can follow us at Chi Bears Central. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.